My name's Ian Matthies. I'm a current game engineering student at the University of Silicon Valley. This is my final year there, so I'll be done in the fall. And me and about 20 other students, after trying to apply for internships, I've done about 30 internships now, and I've gotten none of them. So we decided to pitch a company where it was a company made by students for students to gain the experience they need to get into the industry. So you don't really get that in
Yeah.
school. At least where I go, we haven't gotten it much.
Was the goal to get into the gaming industry or want to do something within it? Like, what was sort of the thought process when you were going to school and kind of starting out?
Well, the whole thought process was I was going to get out of college, get a job at a studio, probably not the one I wanted to be at
Right,
because
right, right.
AAA is impossible to get into, but just at least getting a job. But then with the layoffs and all the stuff that's going on, it's impossible to find anything because you got major hitters that are just sitting there waiting to get something. You got to compete with them.
Yeah. That's one of the things that I hear all the time from especially developers and stuff, like getting on a shipped game or getting in a position to be able to even say that you were getting ready to ship a game is kind of difficult. But as far as like, let's kind of start backwards a little bit. Like, as far as games and stuff, like what were you playing? What sort of built your interest in wanting to even, sort of pursue this?
So when I was probably about 6, my dad came home with this Xbox 360. And
Okay.
I think it
Yeah.
was the coolest thing I'd ever seen at the time. He introduced me to Halo, Gears of War,
Hmm.
Doom, all the original shooters, and I fell in love with it from there, and I haven't stopped playing since. And then I hit about senior year of high school, and they were offering coding classes, and I was like, oh, I'll give this a shot. Fell in love with it, and I was like, I think I'm gonna do this, but I did music education first, and I went,
Hmm.
yeah, I don't like this. So then I went back to what I originally wanted to do.
Yeah, yeah. And so that's kind of funny because obviously the jams and joysticks part, obviously I do music and stuff as well. And when I was going to school for music and all of that stuff, it's not really what you think it is when you really get there and start to do it. I mean, depending on what kind of classes you were taking or whatever, but like if you anywhere near like theory or something like that, like, yeah, I wasn't with any of that. I'm more of a writer, you get your hands dirty type thing. But then as far as gaming, I would say that when I was in school gaming, you couldn't even really, I guess, pursue that in school, really. But since you haven't been able to secure any type of job or anything that remotely kind of mirrors anything, I guess, that you want to do, how are you going to sort of navigate that? I'm assuming that at some point it's got to get better. Things have to settle down a little bit, but that doesn't necessarily mean, because games are going to continue to get more expensive. People are always going to be shuffling talent and stuff around. So what's like your mindset like around it? Like, are you just hunkering down on the things that like you can control? Like, is it still like a dream to want to work at a big studio? Like, how are you sort of seeing all that?
I'd say it's still a dream to work at a big studio, but at the same time, where I go to school, they're restructuring everything right now. So
Mm.
our president, Mark Ruffalo, is restructuring our entire school and making it so we do more projects. So I have 3 projects under my belt now, one of which comes out later this summer. So we're doing more projects to get us prepared, which is nice. So because of that, I kind of got in the mindset of, well, since I can't get a job, why not just make myself one?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's a good point. What kind of were they like? What type of things were you working on?
So we have, at least with the studio that I'm starting up with the students named Mad Dog Studios, we have 2 projects out, one on Steam called Diluted.
Okay.
It's an action adventure puzzle game where you follow the main character Archie through twisted forests and nightmarish entities as you unravel the mystery behind the matron in the orphanage and the nightmarish entity that lives inside of you. And then we have Masquerade, which is a wave-based beat-em-up game where you play as a jester and you're on a stage. That one, what you did for a game jam, and we're restarting up development on that one.
Hmm.
So I'm hoping to get that one fully done and then up on Steam.
Okay. Cool. And so like, is the trajectory is to like, for you, do you want to like continue to work on those sort of games, or do you have like, I guess, genres or things that you would like to work on? Like, what's sort of the flavor that you would like to get into versus, I guess, some of the stuff you've already sort of dabbled in now?
I'm a combat junkie. I've
Okay.
loved RPGs and like really cool combat. So like when Claire Obscure came out, I fell
Mhm.
in love with that. So really anything combat wise, I really want to do. I know I've been talking with the team about doing any ideas anyone has because I strive on the idea of anyone has a good idea no matter what it is. Like
Mhm.
looking at Claire Obscure, that was a random guy that worked at Ubisoft that said, "Man, I hate my job. This is my idea. Let's go do this."
Yeah.
I strive on that idea. Any idea can be something like that.
Like, it seems like you've been able to dabble and work with people who have done, different things like that. I understand, schools and stuff now. A lot more schools obviously are investing more into like the game industry and, development and business and all of these different things. But you also said that they're kind of restructuring where you are. And that's kind of what I found is that like some of the, I want to say maybe more of the major institutions are, they just have the money to be able to put towards it, but they might not necessarily be doing it from the standpoint of holistically trying to create a program that is doing A, B, and C. But like the smaller schools, like they seem to not necessarily really have the funding to be able to do what they want to do. But the things that they're offering are way different than some of the things that you could have gotten, say, 5 years ago, you know what I mean? And so, like, what do you see as, like, the landscape around it? Like, do you think that, like, it's growing? Do you think that it's sort of like in a stale place? Because if you can't really get a job or you can't really see yourself doing the things that you really wanna do, then obviously a lot of people are just kinda gonna pivot and try to do other things, which is not necessarily what you wanna do, but it's what you have to make shake. So, like, where do you see, like, the landscape of, like, school and, like, tied to the game industry and all that?
Well, so I go to a private school. So we're on the smaller end of things, which is
Mhm.
cool. I definitely think we're going to start seeing a shift towards projects more than the normal institutional take A, B, C class and do
Mhm.
this. Obviously, you'll still have those classes, but you'll have more application classes for it where you put those skills to the test. Like
Yeah.
our capstone course for seniors, we do senior game production, which mimics the production pipeline of a normal studio. So you get to be a lead, a project manager, the director, all those fun things. So
Mhm.
we get all of that, and we have some amazing talent from the industry in. Like we have Evan Skolnick, who wrote the story for Cuphead, wrote the story for several Marvel comics, and worked on several other projects. We have Phil Campbell, who did the original levels of the original trilogy of Tomb Raider. So we got a lot of really good instructors there that help us
Yeah.
with those foundational skills.
What is the gaming landscape just like in general around there? Is it I guess a hub you would say? Is it like a lot of gamers around? Like what is sort of just the culture around gaming around there?
I think our school is kind of situated around games. Our entire architect is game design, game engineering, audio program, your master's in business, and then we
Mhm.
have digital art and animation, which covers most of the arts. So we cover almost every field. Almost everyone there is a gamer or is really interested in the arts. So a lot of
Yeah.
creative talent there.
That makes sense with all the tech and stuff. Then you brought up the music aspect. So like, are you looking to try to do that, within the game industry? Obviously, if you wanted to do music at first, that's something you kind of like to do. Is that something you're looking to get into, with a studio or game industry or that sort of fashion?
I'd like to still do engineering, so the coding, but I also do want to get back into music. I used to play the upright bass in
Yeah. Okay.
orchestra and band, so I grew up loving music and being passionate for it. So I definitely want to return to those roots because we have full-blown studio booths and actual like studio equipment
Okay.
for the
Yeah.
audio program. So I want to learn how to use all of that
Yeah.
so I can take advantage of it later on down the road.
Yeah, and I mean, all games need music. So talk a little bit about the games that you have actually worked on. What was sort of the things you saw? Different. Obviously, talk about what you can talk about, but yeah, just kind of describe the games and the stuff that you actually, were able to put your hands on.
So Diluted, I was just a normal engineer, but I helped with the Steam release and our itch.io release team. So I
Okay.
did a lot of that back end work, all the paperwork, all the boring stuff,
Yeah.
basically. But I worked on the puzzles for that game because we had so many engineers and so very little tasks to
Hmm.
do. So I just did the two puzzles, our fog, and I laid the landscaping for our vine puzzle, which our lead later took over and redid and made it better, which I was very thankful for. Masquerade was just me and one other engineer
Oh.
doing all of it. So I did the mask swapping, I did a lot of the power system, I did our book system that spawns in the masks, and I did a lot of the creative director for that
Mhm.
because I kind of just spat the idea out of like, what if we do a wave beat 'em up where you swap masks and it gives you different powers? And they're like, okay. So I did all the creative stuff for that. I kind of drew out the pipeline for that one, which was really cool, being able to be in that leadership position,
Mhm.
which then led into the third project that I'm working on, codenamed Careless Whisper, because we're still working on a name for it.
Okay.
But it's a horror extraction game as of right now. So I'm the lead engineer on that project. So I'm the one in charge of making sure nothing goes wrong on the engineering side,
Yeah.
which is always tough. But I've kind of dipped my toes in everything there. I did the guns, I did the stake, I did the credits, there's a lot of stuff I did on that game that I can't remember off the top of my head, but
Mhm.
I was able to do as much as I could and keep expanding my pool of knowledge.
So, like, do you think the fact that you have like all of these different skills, like at some point you just have your own studio and you just start doing these things on your own? Like, I mean, what's sort of the thought process of like you wanting to, or you versus, doing it by yourself and maybe a smaller group versus say you have a bigger group, bigger, I guess, picture view of a game to where you can do more? Because I'm assuming that there's a trade off there. More people equals more ideas, more things able to happen, but it might, the vision of, I guess, maybe one particular person might get, turned down a little bit for the greater good of everybody else, sort of thing. Like, are you thinking like pros and cons? Are you thinking, oh, I would just like to work on something that I enjoy? Like, what's your thoughts there?
I definitely want to work on things that I enjoy, because what's the point of making something if you're not enjoying the process and working on it?
Yeah.
Because then it's a slog, and then you get bored, and then you don't want to do it anymore. A
Hmm.
burnout happens. I definitely strive on the idea that there is always those people that will really want to push that idea. And I really believe that you can push that idea away for now, and then say that's like a game idea they just pushed out, and you'd be like, okay, this is the one we all want to do right now. Once we finish this project, we'll go back and revisit this one. That way, everyone has that option, because what's the point of all this creativity if not all of them get to share that creativity inside of them? Like,
Yeah.
I know I have ideas. I know our art lead has idea. I know our writer has like 20 billion ideas written down as a writer. So I know that all of these talented folk that I've surrounded myself with, it's just a bubble of creativity. So I just want to make sure they all get that chance at some point to
Yeah.
make their own baby, in a sense.
Yeah, for sure. And talk a little bit about, because you say you were able to, be creative director for a bunch of the things and be able to do a bunch of the stuff. Like you said, make sure this thing ain't breaking over here, but obviously you got a whole bunch of other jobs that you have to do. Like, what sort of goes into all that and your thought process as you are directing and guiding this thing?
So that entire time I worked on Masquerade as the creative director and engineer, that entire time I was just thinking of, okay, scope. We can't go too big. We can't go too small. We had 48 hours because of the game jam to get just this whole thing done. And we
Hmm.
wanted 4 masks done. We had one level designer that did our entire level that you see, which is crazy.
Yeah.
We had 2 artists. One of them was doing concept. The other one was doing the modeling, the animations, the rigging, everything else. So I definitely, the entire time when we started, I was in the idea of, okay, let's map everything we want out, right? This is the big idea. All right, now we look at what we don't need right now.
Hmm.
What are the core features that need to get in at this moment to have a workable game? Instead of, let's put in 20,000 features we love, and then it becomes like a jumbled mess of
Yeah.
not having that core identity. So it's stressful, but it's definitely worth it, being able to experience the ideology behind just what it means to be that creative director.
Do you have any company or companies that like in mind that you would like to work? I'm sure you probably tried to put in for some of these places, but like as far as like the games you've played and stuff, like do you have like some rankings? You know what I'm saying? Anything like that of like places you would like to go?
My number one studio was Larian, because I'm a massive D&D fan. It's been
Okay,
part
yeah.
of my life since I can't remember, but that was my top one after Baldur's Gate 3. I
Hmm.
played through that. Loved the writing, loved the story. After that, it was definitely Square Enix because
Okay.
of Final
Oh
Fantasy. I
yeah.
grew up on 15, I think, which I know is a very controversial one, but that's the one I grew up on. So definitely those two are my big two. And then my third one was Crystal Dynamics because it's nearby. So I was like,
Hmm.
I could drive there nice and easy.
Yeah.
And that was before they announced the new Tomb Raider game. So
Okay, yeah.
I was very surprised when I saw that. I was like, oh, I was just about to apply there. And now
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
this massive opportunity.
That's pretty cool. I've never never been able to venture up that way, Silicon Valley, but obviously you mostly only really kind of hear about the tech and the, business side of things. I guess I hadn't really thought about it, but it would make sense that everybody up there would be gamers for the most part, or, dabble in gaming in some form or fashion. Masquerade, did you say you had like a time frame of when you were going to try to get that out?
So Masquerade has a playable, I'm going to say alpha, like very early alpha
Okay.
state right now because
Okay.
we released it right after the game jam.
Mm-hmm.
We're starting back up production next week.
Okay.
So I'm aiming for end of fall, end of this year, hopefully, because we got to think about 23 very talented folk in on it. I mean, we have this one talented artist named Shy who like does everything art related and is just this absolute powerhouse. And our lead writer, Cassie, is also really good with stories. So I have no doubt the production time will be fast. I think it'll just be more of figuring out marketing and all that fun stuff to get it out there.
All that fun stuff.
Fun stuff. And it's funny that you brought up the tech in Silicon Valley because I went to GDC.
Yep.
So I got to see all the new tech down at the bottom floor. Like they were doing mocap without the mocap suits, that it was just base stations. So there was a ton of cool tech there. Just seeing how far it's gotten. Like this was my first time going. So I was told a lot about it by my close friend Matt. He was just like, yeah, there's so much tech on this floor. Like you got to check it out.
Yeah.
It's like, I'll go look. And it was just riddled with so much interesting things that I never thought were possible at the time.
I guess 10,000 foot view, like what is it that you would like to do ultimately? I know you want to, work on your games, create, whether it be a creative director or whatever the case may be, but ultimately, like, what is your ultimate, like, this would be success for me, or this would be, dream come true type of stuff?
Dream come true would be this studio taking off and becoming just a name that people hear and know, because definitely seeing the smiles on players' faces and seeing how well received the game is does numbers on a person, because you feel the love and you just feel amazing that something you made is this well loved. And that's definitely something I want to bring with our games, because I want it to be an experience you play through and it stays with you. Kind of like, there's probably tons of games people can name off, but one of the ones that stuck with me was Clair Obscura that I'll bring up, because I played that game like from beginning to end, I think, like the first month it was out, because it resonated with me. And then I fell even more in love with the idea of making games, because that was the idea of the little guy making a game that took over and just blew up out of nowhere. So that gives a lot of the indie studios, I think, hope, which is why I think we're seeing an increase in indie studios recently. Like when I was pitching this to our innovation staff, I brought up that the projected monetary value of the indie industry in 2030 will be 10 billion.
It ain't a small amount. Plug your, whatever you got coming out. Plug the things that you can plug. Don't talk about nothing you don't want to put out there.
Well, you can find me on YouTube under Venom MC, so VENOM MC. We're going to convert that into the studio channel. So that's going to go. The diluted trailer's up there right now. Masquerade will hopefully be out at the end of this summer alongside Careless Whisper. So those will be posted all over my socials as well, which you can find my LinkedIn, and my Instagram is Ian Matthies as well. So you can find me there as well, where I'll be announcing all these beautiful projects we're making. And hopefully they fly off the shelves.
Yeah. And you said Diluted is already on Steam. Is that right?
Yeah, it's a free demo. We're looking at going back to it right now, but we all wanted to finish out Masquerade because we're all really excited about that one.
Yeah, cool.